You said it.
Hi, hello, welcome to another episode of Now You Said It. I'm your host, Quisha. Y'all, how are you doing today? I'm good. It is upon us. The holiday season is upon us. Now, I know I said I was going to get this to you on Wednesday. I mean, you're still getting it on Wednesday. It is getting a little bit later than I had hoped. I wanted to record this Tuesday night, but I was working late. I got caught up at work. Y'all know how it is when you take time off for the holidays and everybody seems to want something from you at work. It's when you're the most busy. So I was super busy at work last night, and when I got off of work, I needed to go grocery shopping for Thanksgiving because I'm sure as hell not going today, the day before Thanksgiving. And no ma'am, while you are still getting this on Wednesday, I am recording this on Wednesday. I'm trying my best, y'all, okay? I'm trying my best. So let's get right into this episode, because I actually like this episode a lot more than episode 2. This is the Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 1, episode 3, and it is titled Everybody Needs a Switzerland. We got a good amount of stuff in this episode. So we open the episode with Lisa and her husband. They're driving around with their son, and she's trying to teach him the 10 Commandments, and he needs to remember them, and she asks him to recite just 2 for her, and he goes, "Thou shalt not smoke, and thou shalt not do anything bad." And she was like, "Okay, what's bad?" And he was like, "Looking at porn." And she goes, "Yeah, stay away from that." Okay, listen. Now, while you shouldn't be encouraging young children to watch porn, watching porn is a very normal and healthy thing to do. It shouldn't be shamed upon, and to be raising kids to teach them not to look at porn. That is how we have these people that are raised being very deviant and even violent when it comes to sex. Their eyes are open to this whole new world that they thought was bad, and then they take it too far, and then they end up ball gagging a girl and choking her to death. You know, I'm just saying. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Lisa's son, but don't make your kids feel shame about sex and having sexual feelings. Now, yes, he is very young, so for right now, just kind of maybe shy away from the subject, but don't flat out tell him porn is bad. Do you understand that's going to make him want to be into porn even more and make him this, like, I don't even want to get into the depths of what he could go into being shamed for looking at porn or being taught that having sexual feelings is bad. Y'all know the kind of people that come from that, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Then we have a scene with Brooks and Meredith. They're getting some sort of fat cell body workout treatment where you pretty much just lay there and it works out your abs and body for you. I do want to do that, but I don't want to pay the price. Like, I just want to buy the machine, you know? And Brooks says that this is the most exercise he's gotten in a month. Same, bruh. Same. Then we see Whitney. She's meeting at this seemingly antique store, and then of course they have like a little secret door, and you go back there and it's a bar and a restaurant, and she is planning her 1920s themed party to be there. She's doing a lot of innuendos. He was like, "What kind of party you want?" She was like, "I want it to be wet, not dry." So bitch, you say you want to call it a damn party. Then we go over to Heather's house. She's organizing the baby shower for her multiple employees. Now, like I said before, it's 5 women. They're all pregnant for the first time. And the new tea is they're all having boys. What in the holy sorcery? This is some holy magic. I'm just saying, something ain't right. They're all having boys? Who arranged this? Then we see Jen. She gets out of the car. She has another high heel snow exit car scene. She's getting out of the car in new heels, different heels, and inching her way up the driveway in the snow. This time she has help from, I think it was her aunt. Anyway, I feel like this is going to be like her little thing, showing her getting out of the car in the shoes with the snow. It's cute. I don't want to see it no more though. Y'all, I'm going to go ahead and say this up front. Jen is really rubbing me the wrong way. I didn't like her from episode 1, and I don't see me liking her anytime soon. So Heather says that there's a Mormon prophet that says there is no work that a woman will ever do outside of the home that will be equal to what she does as a mother inside the home. They're successful Mormons based on how they raise their children, how happy they keep their husbands, and how perfect their family appears. Then she opens up more about her divorce. She said she completely shut down because she was brought up just to be a mother and a wife. And she says that her husband was not the love of her life. And the only reason she married him was because he was Mormon. I know a lot of people get married for reasons outside of love, but this is what happens when you don't marry for love. You end up divorced. The marriages dissolve. There become problems. Now, you can get married in love and there can still be problems, but you at least want to say your initial feelings going into this marriage was out of love, not just because, oh, he's a Mormon and this is what I have to do. I feel really bad for Heather. She seems a little bit lost in who she is now, and she seems to be trying to find herself, and I hope she does because she seems like a really good person. She then says that after 11 years of marriage, her husband just said he didn't want to be with her anymore, and she resented him because she was just pretty much doing what she thought she was supposed to be doing as a good Mormon woman. She was going outside of probably what her gut was telling her, and she was just, following the rules and doing what she thought she was supposed to do. So she had resentment towards him because she felt like he gave up on her, and she pretty much changed who she was completely just to be with him. Girl, if that ain't a story I have heard before. She says that between their families, his and hers, there have been 0 divorces and theirs was the first. So she feels like a huge failure. You can tell she's blaming herself for a lot of this, and you can also see that she's still carrying a lot of this on her shoulders, even though I believe they got divorced about 5 years ago. She's still carrying a lot of this with her. So Jen is pretty much reassuring her, telling her, you did the right thing. She said, so what are you supposed to do? Just be miserable in the marriage and hate each other and live this life of emptiness? And Heather goes, yes, 100% yes. You were supposed to stay in the marriage no matter what. And then a producer asks her if she's ever been in love. And she goes, oh, I don't know, maybe when I was 15. And I'm pretty sure the person didn't even like me. That makes me so sad. Imagine going through life and you're in your 40s or whatever and you have never been in love. You lived your whole life trying to follow this plan, this outline, disregarding your heart and your feelings. Y'all, Lord have mercy. I feel really bad for Heather and I want her to find love. She deserves love. Then we shoot over to Meredith's house. She is making cocktails. She goes, cocktails, and she goes to press the blender and she didn't have the lid on it, so the margarita stuff went everywhere, all over the counters and stuff. Our girl has already been imbibing and I love it. It makes me want to go take a shot right now. I got all the alcohol for Thanksgiving, but watching these people drink like this, it makes me want to go have a little shot. I might do it, y'all. Never mind, I decided against it. I feel like that's not going to sound good on the podcast, like the noise of me taking a shot. And then you're going to hear me gasping for air. I'm just going to sip on some water. Let me sip this water instead. I don't think people like hearing that either. We then meet her 18-year-old daughter, Chloe, who actually looks a lot like Chloe Grace Moretz and a mix of Lily Reinhart. Tell me she don't look like those bitches' baby. Of course, Seth isn't home. Jen and some other randoms show up, and Jen says she relates a lot to Meredith and she likes going over to her house because both of their husbands are gone a lot. I mentioned this in the episode about the premiere. I see problems at the Shaw Chalet. She says, I think she says it about 3 times in this episode that she's lonely. And then Jen is talking to Brooks and Chloe and she's like, we're going to have a sleepover after the 1920s party and we're going to do face masks and high kicks. And Chloe's like, what's high kicks? And Jen was like, I can't really show you right now because I'm wearing a skirt. And then she kind of leans her body over the couch to kind of hide her vagina. But she was doing high kicks in her little skirt. And Brooks says he saw her vagina and he did not look pleased. He then shoots into his confessional. He goes, I saw her vagina and that was just not right to be seen in my mother's home. Brooks was not here for it. So him and Chloe dip off to Best Buy. I want to see an update on what they bought. I'm just saying, what did you get from Best Buy? I haven't been in a Best Buy in 10 years. What happened to Circuit City? Anyway, so then we have Lisa taking her son Jack out driving. He's 15. This scene is very boring. The only thing I will say is he looks like he's been driving for about 20 years. That's all. Anyway, next we have Meredith and Mary. They're meeting up for food. And y'all, I had to make this the thumbnail for this episode because when I saw Mary's wig, I about lost my goddamn mind. I cannot believe this woman got on TV with her hair looking like this. This is completely unacceptable. You cannot be on TV looking like this. These wigs are worse than Karen's wigs in the earlier seasons of Potomac's. They are worse than Kim Zolciak's wigs in the early episodes of ATL. I cannot believe somebody let her leave the house with her hair, with her wig looking like this. It wasn't even combed or brushed. It just looked like, I'm going to pray for her and that wig. It looked like a comedy wig, like something you would wear making a joke of a person wearing a wig. I was very distracted watching this scene. I just couldn't believe it was, my breath is being taken away right now the same way it was being taken away when I was watching this scene. I audibly gasped. Audibly. Mary then talks about her son who is 17. She just says that he's getting into girls and he's starting to ignore her. And they bond over trash talking the other women that are pretending that their marriages and everything in their life is so perfect. I'm also watching, on top of the wig, I'm also watching Mary's mouth movements. She has very strange mouth clenches and like she squishes her mouth she does this weird, her mouth is doing things that it should not be doing. Is this related to the older gland surgery? Mary then says that she elaborates on the arranged marriage. She pretty much says that leaving Robert Sr. is not an option. She says when her grandmother died, she wanted Mary to take over everything. That meant her home, her church, her money, and her husband, child. Mary was like, don't think it wasn't strange at first, because it was strange. Okay, I'm just glad you see what we see. Then she talks about her strained relationship with her mom. She says her mom wanted to be in Mary's place. Her mom wanted the cars, the church, and the granddaddy. And she resented Mary for that. Mary said when she was around 19, her relationship with her mother changed drastically. She married the grandfather when she was 22, and she said on their wedding night, the producer asked them if they had sex, and Mary goes, no. Luckily, I was on my period, and I continued to be on my period for 2 weeks. Mary had to get past it. She said she had to pray over it. Lord, give me the strength to have sex with my step-granddaddy. They also showed some pictures of Mary and her grandfather on their wedding day, which I saw online, but I never paid too much attention to it until I watched it in this episode. She looks like a completely different person. I'm talking about skin tone, nose job, jaw stuff, whatever she did with her mouth. She looks absolutely different, and she also looks like she lost about 20 pounds. Harpo, who this woman? I will say that I really like the energy and the vibe between Mary and Meredith. They seem like they get along great. Now, you can tell they don't know each other all that well, but I'm liking the energy between the two of them. I would like to see more of the two of them together. Then we shoot over to Meredith's house, and she again is hanging out with Brooks. They're making guacamole. Brooks is making almond milk, and we find out that the actual reason Brooks took time off of school was due to the separation. He said he wanted to be available to support Meredith, and he also wanted to work on his clothing line. I knew there was some motive behind Brooks. He then tells her how Jen made him and Chloe feel uncomfortable that night. He said they saw parts of that woman that they never thought they'd see. And he insists that she cancel the sleepover, and Meredith says she's going to cancel and tell Jen that she'd rather spend time with her kids. Then we head over to Mary's house. Oh my gosh. First of all, the outfit she's wearing. It's 2 different animal prints. Then she's wearing like some boho chic headdress. There's a lot going on. It's a very busy visual looking at Mary. And then on top of that, looking at their kitchen, they have a lot of pre-workout and protein powder and a lot of health stuff for 2 extremely unhealthy looking people, her and Robert Sr. I don't know about it. This scene is okay. They're bickering about the stove, and then they're also bickering about who's more spoiled in the relationship. Mary says that once they got married, she had to learn about who he was. She actually thanks her grandmother for pairing them up together, because she said if she would have had to pick a man, it would be Robert Sr. Ugh. And she said that things changed a lot in their relationship once they had their son. She became like a robot mom, and he became Robert Sr., whatever that means. I'm guessing like a stubborn old man, like they all become. Bitch, you married your granddaddy. What did you expect? You know they're stuck in their ways. Give him some Werthers and let him be. She then says that she's thinking about sending her son off to boarding school because pretty much she wants to get him away from his girlfriend. And Robert Jr. comes down and she's talking to him about, don't you want to go to school in LA? It'll be co-ed. Wouldn't you like that? And he was like, no, because I don't want to be away from my girlfriend. During this conversation that they're having with Robert Jr., Robert Sr. starts up a blender right in the middle of their conversation. And it also happened in the previous scene with Meredith and Brooks. When Meredith starts talking about Jen and her vagina, Brooks hits the blender for his almond milk. In the words of the beloved Danny Pellegrino, they're doing a lot of blender work in this episode. I'm seeing a lot of blender work, okay? Then we see Wendy and her dad there showing up to attend church with Mary. Oh yeah, Mary also invited Meredith to come to church with her while they were at that dinner. Now, I listened to last week's episode of Bitch Sesh, and they compared Whitney's father's hair to Fall Out Boy, and now I can't unsee it. Which is such a coincidence because I just mentioned Fall Out Boy in my most recent makeup video. It's the season of Fall Out Boy. I say let's bring him back. What are they up to? Winnie says that her dad completed 30 days of rehab and now he's considering going into a sober living house. Good for him. Now church is in session and we see Pastor Mary doing her thing. She has a little golden microphone. She's very, very theatrical. There's a lot of performing going on here. And I don't know if that is how she always is or if it's because the cameras are around. It's a performance, and I don't know if I were in that church that I would be able to like get in the spirit. I'd be too busy staring at her. Like, what is going on here? But Whitney's dad really seems to be into it, which is really nice. Listen, her dad is a very sweet guy. The only issue I have with him is his hair. Other than that, he seems like a very sweet dude. I noticed when Whitney, I don't think Meredith heard her, but when Whitney was introducing her dad to Meredith was kind of like looking down, and her dad kind of like went to look at her, but Meredith wasn't looking at him. It was very awkward. And who is this other man that Meredith had with her at the church? This other odd looking white man. They were quite the motley crew at the church, but they were enjoying it. Meredith said, she's not that religious of a person, but she sees the connection that Mary has with her congregation and, the people in her church, and it's really nice to see. So Mary, she's giving her sermon. She's looking right at Whitney's dad. She's looking at him, through him, into him, down to the bones in his feet. If somebody was looking at me like that, I would feel so uncomfortable. It looks scary. Like, what are you trying to get out of me? Are you trying to steal my spirit, my soul? That's what it felt like. But he really liked it. He was really feeling it. She prayed over them. It was very touching. Now, the next scene, we see Jen with her Shaw squad, and they are another motley crew as well. There's a man in the group that has chosen to blur out his face, but you can still pretty much see who he was. Like, if you asked me to draw that man, I pretty much knew his face. Who was he? And if he didn't want to be on camera, why was he so prevalent and in front of Jen? He was very much, his whole body was in the shot for the majority of the scene. Like, if you're blurring your face, just move to the left a little bit, get behind the camera then. Maybe they had a falling out, or maybe she fired him or something. I don't know. Who was that man? So they're getting her ready for, I believe this was the baby shower. I couldn't tell in this scene if they were getting her ready for the 1920s party or the baby shower. I couldn't tell. But anyway, they were getting her ready. And she says, again, she talks about being lonely. And she says the Shaw Squad is there for her through everything. And they just pretty much take care of her and help her to not feel so lonely. So pretty much you have hired people to be around you. You're paying people so that you're not alone. Pay me. I'll do it. And I'll tell you the truth. I guess that I'm sure she hired them for being like yes men, but if you really want a good friend that's going to keep it all the way real with you, hire me, because I would make so many changes to Jen. Now, her outfits I do kind of like. It's just she needs to tone it down on the surgeries and her attitude, but I'll get into that a little bit later. She's telling them that she's shocked that Meredith canceled the sleepover, and she says her feelings are hurt. Pretty much she feels like Meredith isn't being loyal to her. Why? Because she doesn't want your vagina out in front of her kids? Then we head over to the Heather and the baby shower for her employees. Very nice that she's doing this for them. If y'all can hear my stomach growling, I'm really sorry. I have not had lunch yet. And I cannot stop like pausing for my stomach to make noise so I can keep talking. I'm trying to get this up today. So Y'all just please bear with me if there's background noises and stomach noises and stuff. We're preparing for Thanksgiving. Mike is opening and slamming doors. My stomach is screaming. So we head over to the baby shower, and Heather says that looking at all these young moms is making her reevaluate what she's teaching her daughters. I like that. Teach them to be independent and teach them to marry for love. So Heather, Whitney, and Jen, they're at the baby shower and they sequester themselves, to gossip and shoot scenes, clearly. Whitney says she really wants to have a clean slate with Lisa, so she invited her to the 1920s party. Did she send thumbs up with the text message? They ask Jen if Coach Shaw will be there. She says yes, but he'll be joining late. Y'all, I'm watching this relationship. I have my eyes on them. She then asks Whitney if Mary is invited to the party, and Whitney says yes. Whitney says, yes, I like Mary. And Jen gets so angry. It's too much. At this point, all she said was, you smell like the hospital. And you did smell like the hospital. So get over it. This is really going to bug me if this drags out the entire season. They can't do this. They can't do this to us. Even Heather says, why are we still talking about this? This should have been put to bed a long time ago. It's not that big of a deal. Then Whitney tells Jen and Heather about the experience that they had at the church. Jen is rolling her eyes. And then that's when she finds out that Meredith went to church too. And she says that Meredith going to Mary's church is a personal dig at her. The ego on this woman. All she did was go to church. So now we head over to Whitney and her 1920s themed party. Y'all know the Housewives love a roaring 20s, Great Gatsby type of a party. They love it. Do y'all know what was going on back then for black people? We were having a great time, okay? There's a bunch of dancers, strippers, of course, alcohol at the party. All the women are uncomfortable, especially Meredith and Lisa with the dancers. It's loosen up, enjoy yourself, have a drink. It's not you up there on the pole or the little aerial thing. Let the dancers do their thing. They're there for your entertainment. Jen walks into the party and she has two of her Shaw squad in tow. They're holding her dress, adjusting her the entire time. They are literally they're paid to just cater to her. It's rubbing me the wrong way. I don't like it. I will admit I really do like her outfit. The dress that she wore was really pretty. I like Whitney's dress too, the black and gold thing she was wearing. So Jen walks in the party and she sees Meredith and she freaks out. And that's where the episode ends. Okay, my thoughts on this episode. Jen is annoying. The way she is going about and blowing up and continuously talking about this hospital smell situation is getting old, and it's only episode 3 and I've had enough. I do like that we're getting to see more about Mary and her family because I want to see what the hell is going on over there, okay? I'm really liking Meredith. I feel like the more she opens up, the more we're going to like her. Lisa, I'm still iffy on her. I like Whitney, like Heather. I can't say whether I like Mary or not. She's an odd person. The way she talks, the way she looks at people, her mouth, it's all very bothersome to me. And I do not like Jen. This episode overall, I thought was a really good episode. I definitely liked it better than episode 2. So then we see the preview for next week, and we have Jen confronting Meredith about Mary. She's crying and screaming all in her face. Meredith was like, listen, I'm going to disengage and I got to get out of here. Bravo, bitch, because Jen is doing the absolute most in your face, and it's a cry for attention that is so unbecoming. And then Jen is talking to Lisa about Meredith, and she goes, so you're just going to choose me over Mary who fucks her grandfather? Now that line was funny. I'll give Jen that. And then it looks like Jen is either being thrown out of the party or she's violently leaving. I can't really tell exactly what's happening. And then we see her talking about it's the 1 year passing anniversary of her father. I feel like that's what she's going to blame her awful behavior on. She again says she's very lonely. I feel like this is leading up to something, y'all. And then we see Meredith telling Lisa about her and Seth separating. And we get more of Mary and Jen drama. It looks like Mary is organizing some sort of paint and sip or something, or wine tasting. I can't really tell what the scene is. And her and Jen go back and forth again. Okay. All right. I feel like these women have way more in-depth storylines than this surface level hospital smell argument. And I blame this all on Jen. She's the only one keeping this going. They all look like they have a lot of secrets and they are hiding a lot. And I'm just ready to dive right into all this juiciness because we playing right now with this hospital smell. Put it to bed, hospital bed, take it off life support, and roll it away, okay? I'm done with the hospital smell. All right, so tell me, what did y'all think about this episode? Like I said, I enjoyed it. I would love to hear your thoughts. Did you see any juicy takes that I might have missed? Also, have you been hearing any Housewives gossip? I've been a little bit absent from the drama and the gossip sites, so I've been a little bit out of the loop. So please fill me in if there is any drama going on that I need to know about. Y'all know I'll be ready to talk about it. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and YouTube. Just look up Now We Said It. It's under both names, Now We Said It and Now We've Said It. I was having a little trouble with the email, so I had to use both. So y'all, I'm there, okay? It's either a pink icon or it's the one with Camille Grammer on the front, okay? So please follow us on Instagram and YouTube. Give me positive reviews and feedback. I appreciate it so much. It really helps me out a lot. Share this podcast with anybody that you know that you think would appreciate this. Please have a very safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. Eat lots of turkey, drink lots of wine, get in emoji fights with your family, and I will see y'all next week. This has been an episode of Now We Said It. Bye.
But now we said it.